interesting. You know, John Gacy was convicted of killings that happened in the 70s when the United States was really getting some of its first experiences with serial killers. And the reaction, at least here in Chicago, is one of relief, I would imagine. Those killings hit this community and city very hard here, and most of the public sentiment seems to be against Gacy and what's happened.
Is it true that there have been celebrations in the streets of Chicago?
Well, there have been some small demonstrations by people that are for the death penalty. I wouldn't exactly call them celebrations, but there have been people demonstrating, and there are definitely people here in Chicago that have waited a long while for this day to come for Gacy's execution.
And there's going to be exhibitions of his paintings in art galleries there.
That's right. There was some controversy over that because Gacy has made some money from his crime. He had a 900 phone number that you could call up. He has done some artwork. There's been a movie made about him, and there is even talk of book rights. In fact, it was interesting that the state was actually trying to sue him for the money that it cost to keep him on death row after they determined that he was, in fact, profiting from his crime. But that suit was dropped by the state in order to expedite his execution time.
There are reports that the families of his victims want to be in the execution chamber.
That's right. There are several witnesses that will be allowed into the execution chamber, although for security's sake, the Department of Corrections is avoiding letting any of the family members and also any of Gacy's family members from watching the execution.
Do you expect, Manuel, another last-minute stay of execution?
Well, I should tell you that the U.S. Supreme Court, Gacy's attorneys have indicated that they will appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. That's really their the last appeal that they have under our system. Beyond that, they can turn to the governor of Illinois for clemency, although the Governor Edgar, has indicated in the past that he's not interested in granting Gacy clemency, that he has seen no reason to do that so far.
Manuel Gallegos, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
And coming up next...
A killer whose brutality shocked even his own lawyers is scheduled to be put to death. It has been 14 years since John Waye Gacy was convicted of murder. He had turned his Chicago home into a torture chamber and a burial ground. Here's ABC's Erin Hayes.
Demonstrators in downtown Chicago cheered the prospect of Gacy's execution tonight. The Gacy case is one few in Chicago can forget. It was over the Christmas holiday, 1978. From the crawl space of John Waye Gacy's suburban Chicago home came a procession of bodies that seemed unending. Gacy killed 33 young men and boys and tortured and raped many of them.
He's a unique villain in the history of this country. He's one of the worst. I hate him. I want him to die.
The Gacy killings continue to grip Chicago because what his crawl space revealed about Gacy's life was nothing like the John Gacy neighbors thought they knew.
Well, he had a heart of gold. He treated the kids real good.
Gacy had performed as a clown for neighborhood kids, was active in politics, got an autographed picture from Rosalind Carter, and got away with murder for 6.5 years. Lieutenant Mike Albrecht helped catch him and took his confession.
John Gacy is evil. He knew what he was doing, never showed the remorse, and as far as I'm concerned, he should be put to death for what he did.
But the fight to stop his execution continues at this hour. His attorneys say it's not so much about helping Gacy as it is about fighting the death penalty.
Violence begets violence. When you kill John Gacy, the message you're sending out to people is it's okay to kill.
Harold Peast considers the Gacy attorneys misguided. His son Rob, 15, was Gacy's last victim. Peast cannot wait for the execution.
Be relief. I'll be able to sleep at night completely through. I don't have to worry about him.
Most expect Gacy, 38 when he went into prison, 52 now, to be executed by lethal injection at the Stateville Correctional Center just after midnight tonight. Erin Hayes, ABC News, Chicago.
In New York today, the verdict in the case...
convicted boys in the 1970s. The execution was delayed 8 minutes because of a problem with the machine used to deliver the injection of lethal chemicals. Said one witness, he got a much easier death than any of his victims.